Hey everyone, I'm Bill Vencil. This is Chords of Orion, and on today's video, I want to cover some basic delay types, styles, to help you in your search for the right pedal for your music. Delay type number one is the tape style delay, and it's probably the oldest in terms of when it was developed. If you think about old school tape recording, at some point somebody realized, oh, from the time I record the tape to the time it plays back, there's a delay, yeah. And all of a sudden we had units like echoplexes and space echoes, and I was lucky enough to have some of those when I was very much younger than I am now. Any old who, here is a basic tape style delay sound. Now, I'm going to play another chord, and I want you to listen carefully to the repeats as they die out. So, if you listen carefully, you probably notice two things. One is the sound got a little gritty as it repeated. The second thing is that the low end, the bass of the tone, rolled off. So by the time the delay faded out, it was mostly the treble end of the tone. And that is a very common characteristic of tape style delay. There's a couple of other things that most delay pedal units that emulate this style will add in, and that is the capability to add more dirt or grit or distortion into the signal. Right, so the top end rolls off a little bit with more grit, but the bottom end still rolls off. So you lose that bass end as the repeats occur. One of the other things that many tape style delay pedals add in is the ability to kind of age the tape and the presumed tape deck and add in wow and flutter. And what would happen in the old school machines is after you used them for a while, the actual mechanics would begin to wear and the tape speed would not be quite consistent. Also, as magnetic tape gets recorded over and over again, it also begins to wear and the quality of the tape recorded sound itself reduces. And that is very common in tape delay pedals. One of the things I really like to use tape style delays for is lead playing, because as you're playing the lead, the bottom end of those delay repeats is kind of going away, right? So you're left with that more trebly sound, and it kind of naturally gets out of the way of your lead. Delay style number two we're going to look at is the analog or bucket brigade style delay. This kind of developed back in the 70s, not too long before I started playing. And it was kind of a development out of that tape style delay, so you could actually put your delay in a box that could sit on the floor with a button to turn it on and off. A delay pedal, right? But digital technology was not really available then, and so the actual delay was created through a circuit, and I'm not an electronics expert, but it involved transistors and capacitors, and it was called a bucket brigade. So it was kind of like different steps of the circuit that the signal would be passed through. And here's a typical analog delay style sound. Now, did you hear what was going on with the delay repeats? Okay, in the tape style delay, the low end rolls off. In the analog or bucket brigade style delay, the top end rolls off and the delay repeats become more muffled. Yeah, and you probably hear a little bit of grit in there too. And some of the analog delay style pedals, if they're real analog circuits, they may have some grit or a little distortion. And if it's a digital based pedal like the Timeline, they kind of model that distortion and you can kind of control it and add it in. Another common feature with delay pedals that have an analog style delay is the ability to roll off the tone even more and make it really muffled. One of the great things about analog delay is because it's a rounder, softer sound, you can set up a fairly high delay level, and when you're playing chords, it will just kind of ride along underneath your chord playing. Also with lead playing, kind of just like the tape delay style, since part of the signal is rolling off, it does get behind your lead, so it doesn't get in the way as much. The third style of delay I'd like to look at is the digital delay, and this kind of came about in the 70s into the early 80s. I think early 80s was when I got my first digital delay pedal. It was a Boss, probably a DD1 or 2 or something like that. And digital technology was becoming more affordable at that point, and manufacturers figured out how to put some of it into a pedal that you could sit on a pedal board. Here is a typical digital delay style sound. Now let me play a chord and listen carefully to the repeats. Did you hear that? The top end remains and the low end remains. Nothing rolls off. It's an exact copy of your original tone as the delay repeats continue. Yeah, pretty cool. Now, one of the things that is really nice about digital style delays is if you're playing volume swells. This is what I use them for all the time. One of the reasons why I like digital for volume swells is because the full tone is retained as you're playing along through the swells. It's just really nice. One other thing that came about and became more popular with digital delays was the ability to add in modulation. So this is like a chorusing style effect. Let me go ahead and add a little bit into this one and let's hear it. That can be really beautiful, and in fact I use modulating delays quite a bit in place of a chorus or a flanger or a phase pedal. I like the way the modulation sits behind the dry guitar signal. And a digital style delay still sounds pretty cool with a lead. So what's really funny is that these three types of delays are really the foundation for almost any delay type that you're going to find on a delay pedal that has multiple delay types. So here's an example on the Timeline. In addition to those three, there is a dual delay type, which is actually two delay lines, pretty cool, but they're both digital delay styles. Here's what that sounds like. Now, does that sound like any super famous band with a U and a number that's less than 3 in it? Even more esoteric styles of delays ultimately come back to one of those three: tape, analog, or digital. Here's a reverse delay on the Timeline. So now that you know more about the three basic styles of delays, I've got another video here that discusses other considerations when you're in the market for a delay pedal. Head on over and I'll catch you there.